Hello guys, I'm Vinal Verma is back with another video, and today we are going to learn about thyroid hormones as well as thyroid hormone inhibitors. So if you're new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe my channel and press the bell icon for the further notifications. So let's start about thyroid hormones. So thyroid hormone is released from thyroid gland. So thyroid gland release thyroxine T4 and triiodothyronine T3 and calcitonin. These three hormones are released by thyroid gland. So basically how it release? Hypothalamus release thyroid releasing hormone. It passes to the pituitary gland where thyroid stimulating hormone is synthesized. This thyroid stimulating hormone gives a message to the thyroid gland where through the GPCR this receptor causes the TSH to act on it and cause the release of hormone, that is T4, T3 and calcitonin. Somatostatin is the inhibitor of TSH activation. The TSH does not go and bind over GPCR when somatostatin inhibits it. This process takes by the feedback mechanism, and when the TSH levels increases in the body, the somatostatin goes and binds to this and inhibit the binding of TSH on the GPCR. So how does thyroid hormone go and bound to different proteins in the body? So thyroid hormones goes and bound to the protein. These are thyroxine binding globulin, albumin and thyroxine binding prealbumin. It is also known as transthyretin. So basically any hormone which is in a free state is known to be active. So the free from thyroid hormone is present in 0.03 to 0.08% in the body, and T3 is 0.2 to 0.5%. So this is available for action, metabolism and excretion. So how does the metabolism of thyroid hormone occur? So the metabolism is occurred by deiodination, glucuronide and sulfate conjugation, that is in liver, and the excretion takes place by the bile and excreted by urine. So let's see in detail. So why do we require thyroid hormone? They are required for the growth and development of the body. They are required for the lipid metabolism. They increase the lipolysis. The LDL level decreases in the body because of them, and this occurs by increasing the action of catecholamines and lipolytic hormones on the LDL levels, which causes decrease in LDL levels. LDL means low density lipoprotein, which is very bad for the body, which is the main responsible for the cholesterol in the body. So we need to decrease this level, and this is occurring by the thyroid hormones. This is also responsible for carbohydrate metabolism. And how does they do? They increase the glycogenolysis, that is glycogen breakdown into glucose, and gluconeogenesis in liver, that is formation of new glucose from the non-carbohydrate molecules, and as well as they increase the glucose absorption from the GIT. They are also responsible for the protein metabolism. Protein metabolism, they increase the protein synthesis by the catabolism. So calorigenesis. So calorigenesis means they increase the BMR, that is basal metabolic rate. This is required for the maintenance of the body temperature, and possible only by uncoupling of oxidative phosphorylation process. And in this process, the heat which is released is used in order to increase the temperature of the body. Now for GIT, they increase the propulsive activity, hematopoiesis. They are facilitatory to erythropoiesis. They help in forming RBC, reproduction. They maintain the pregnancy as well as lactation. They stimulate the heart by direct action on the contractile element. By the calcium ATPase activity, the contraction takes place, as well as the upregulation of beta-adrenergic receptors are responsible for the stimulation activity of contractile element. Now we are going to see how thyroid hormone is synthesized in the follicular cells. So this is a thyroid gland follicular cell, and the whole transport mechanism is given. So let's see how it is done. So this is the iodide which is present in the surrounding is trapped by the follicular cell. by the help of this sodium iodide symporter. So this symporter allows the iodide to enter inside. This iodide, after trapping, goes to another symporter, that is a pendant symporter, which causes the transport of iodide outside, and this causes the conversion of iodide into iodinium ion and hypoiodous acid and enzyme linked hypoiodate by the help of thyroid peroxidase. So this oxidation process yields these three ions. After this, they are converted into Tg. Tg means thyroglobulin. This thyroglobulin is formed by the action of the tyrosyl residues on all these three ions, and this yield thyroglobulin. Then thyroglobulin goes and forms monoiodothyrosin and diiodothyroxine. This monoiodothyrosin and diiodothyrosin are the residues formed by the thyroglobulin but still attached to the thyroglobulin molecule. This thyroglobulin molecule then undergoes the coupling process in order to form the T3 and T4. So how does it act? As the thyroglobulin molecule with the DIT attached to it and another thyroglobulin molecule with the MIT attached to it goes and bound with each other. So these form a T3 molecule. One DIT plus one MIT forms T3, and one DIT plus another DIT, that is two molecules of DIT, forms T4. So how it is like mono means single tyrosine molecule, single iodotyrosine molecule with diiodotyrosine molecule combination takes formation of T3, and two diiodotyrosine molecule leads to formation of T4. This coupling process yields the thyroglobulin molecule with the T3 and T4. These are responsible for the activity and the hormones are synthesized. Then this again goes to the follicular cell, and by the process of endocytosis, this thyroglobulin molecule attached T3 and T4, MIT and DIT goes and inside the follicular cell. Inside the follicular cell, the lysosome is formed, and in this lysosome, this molecule gets trapped. After this, the proteolysis process takes place and T3 and T4, which was attached to thyroglobulin, is released. And now T3 and T4 is ready for the secretion from the follicular cell whenever required by the body. As soon as T3 and T4 release, deiodination process takes place and the iodine which was attached to T3 and T4 are released. And again in the surrounding, the iodide ion is ready for it. Another is the MIT and DIT, which was released from thyroglobulin, goes for deiodination process and release the iodide ion. Again, we should see how the coupling occurs. This is a monoiodotyrosine and a diiodotyrosine. That molecules bound together, that is coupling by the peroxidase enzyme, and form a T3 molecule, as we have discussed previous. So MIT plus DIT T3 and DIT T4. This is occurred by the peroxidase enzyme. You can see there is a link. This group is deleted, and the linking with O group between MIT and DIT takes place. The levels of thyroid hormone in the body increases. That means they are responsible for various diseases like thyrotoxicosis and thyroid nodular goiter. So for inhibition of such diseases, we need to give thyroid inhibitors. So this is a classification of thyroid inhibitors. They inhibit the hormone synthesis, propylthiouracil, methimazole and carbimazole. They are also known as thiamides. Next is inhibit iodine trapping. So the iodine trapping process is in itself inhibited. These are ionic inhibitors, thiocyanates, perchlorates and nitrates. They also inhibit the hormone release, iodides of sodium and potassium and organic iodide. Either they also destroy the thyroid tissue itself, so that no synthesis takes place, no release takes place. So this is possible by radioactive iodine, that is I-131, I-125 and I-123. So why we need thyroid inhibitors. The problem is thyrotoxicosis, Graves' disease, toxic multinodular goiter, toxic adenoma and TCS secreting pituitary tumor that is rare. The thyrotoxicosis means elevated levels of free T3 and T4. Graves' disease means there will be weight loss, puffy eyes and enlarged thyroid. That is, this is the original thyroid gland. After the Graves' disease, that is the hyperthyroidism takes place and the thyroid gland swells, and when this thyroid gland has nodules over it, it is known as toxic goiter, that is hyperplasia of the thyroid gland will take place. Then toxic adenoma and TSH secreting pituitary tumor. These are the type of tumors onto the thyroid gland. So the first one, that is antithyroid drug, the thiamides. These thiamides go and bind to the thyroid peroxidase, which is required for the coupling reaction and the formation of T3 and T4. So therefore the oxidation of iodide and iodotyrosyl residues does not take place. Therefore the iodination of tyrosine residues in thyroglobulin is inhibited, as well as the coupling of iodotyrosin residues is also inhibited. Therefore no T3 and T4 synthesized. So the main action is by inhibition of secretion of T3 and T4. So basically propylthiouracil goes and inhibit the conversion of T4 and T3 also. The adverse effect of thiamides are goiter, hypothyroidism, skin rashes, joint pain, intolerance, loss of taste, fever, liver damage, and loss or graying of hair is rare. As well as agranulocytosis also takes place, that is also rare. Another class is ionic inhibitors. They go inhibitors of iodide trapping by the NIS, that is sodium iodide symporter. Since this process is inhibited, no iodide inside the follicular cell and no synthesis takes place. So these ionic inhibitors are the monovalent ions. It is seen that perchlorates are 10 times more potent than the thiocyanates, and nitrate is a weak one. So the perchlorate adverse effects are rashes, fever, aplastic anemia, and agranulocytosis. And the thiocyanates adverse effects are liver, kidney, bone marrow, and brain toxicity. These ionic inhibitors are not used clinically now because of their toxic nature. Next class is iodine and iodides. So these class is the fastest acting class. The mechanism is not clear, but it is identified that excess of iodide itself inhibits its own transport into the thyroid cells by interfering with the NIS symporter. So it also attenuates the TSH action, that is thyroid stimulating hormone action, as well as the CAMP induced thyroid stimulation is also inhibited. They cause decrease of iodination of tyrosyl residues of thyroglobulin. Therefore, the synthesis of T3 and T4 is also decreased. This process is known as Wolff-Chaikoff effect. So because of this iodine and iodides, the gland become firm and less vascular, as well as while operating, it becomes easier to operate the thyroid gland. Basically, these are used in the surgeries when the hyperthyroidism has taken place, and there is no choice other than the surgery. The adverse effect of iodine and iodides are rhinorrhea and inflammation of various parts. The iodine and iodides used are basically Lugol solution. This Lugol solution contains 5% iodine in 10% potassium iodide solution. So the last category is radioactive iodine. These radioactive iodines, it is said that I-127 is a stable isotope of iodine, and similar to this, I-131 is synthesized. So this is similar to I-127, that is also a stable form, and it is given in the form of sodium salt of I-131. It is X-rays as well as the beta particles. These beta particles penetrates into the tissue up to 0.5 to 2 millimeters, and they destruct the thyroid cell by the process pycnosis and necrosis. The X-ray which are released by I-131 are used for tracer studies. This radioactive iodine is used for the diagnostic use, and the amount is used 25 to 100 microcurie. And the disadvantage of use of radioactive iodine are severe, that is, they cause metastatic carcinoma and hypothyroidism. Therefore, they are not used in pregnancy because they cause hypothyroidism in the fetus too. So this was all about thyroid hormones and their inhibitors. So thank you for watching my video, and please do like the video, share it, comment on it,